Hello, hello, welcome everybody. We want to welcome you in. This is Anthony Rosa, Mr. Remedy, and we have another amazing show for you tonight on the Round Table Remedies. You might see some familiar faces as we continue to take the challenge. In February, we're going to be talking about facing your fears and making the right adjustments. So if there's anything that's troubling you, anything that you're going through right now, I want you to stop what you're doing. I want you to pay attention because we're going to be giving some real remedies tonight. So I just want to allow everybody in speaker rotation just to say hello and where they're calling from. Frank, I want to welcome you back.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having us again. And I'm in New York City, and I want to thank the people who are listening and watching, and hopefully, or if they're seeing it another day. Thank you so much for chiming in. And I think Anthony, you always have good topics for us to deal with and to speak about, and it always makes me think. So that's a good thing. And I'm a person who loves subtext. so welcome aboard. Thank you guys for having us or having me. Thank you.
Of course. Well, again, facing your fears, making the adjustments. Thanks, Frank. We'll be hearing from you shortly. And I want to pass it on to Francesca. Francesca, thanks for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having me again. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you to everyone who's listening and watching. I'm really excited to talk about fears and adjustments in the creative fields as well, and how it affects people. So thanks again.
Right? We laugh in the face of adversity, and tonight we're going to be talking about what we really fear. And those that are watching, I highly recommend that you just stay tuned. We're going to be having some real challenges, real things that we're going to be talking about, and we plan this all for you. And anchoring us in tonight, my buddy Jim, I want to thank you and welcome you back.
Thank you very much, Anthony. Thank you for having me. And thank you to everyone who's watching for welcoming us into your home, into your life, and hopefully that things we talk about can help you, touch you, and move you in the right direction. Because that's clearly why we're here. We're all trying to learn how to progress and overcome the things that are our obstacles. And that's what we want to talk about tonight.
Absolutely. So, again, I want to remind you that the Roundtable Remedies was created to inspire, connect, and educate you through real people, real stories, their real challenges. And, these takeaways that you're going to be hearing tonight are their remedies. And so I have the privilege to bring back up my friend Frank. Since our last show, we've been able to connect a little bit more. And as the more that I get to know you, the more that I appreciate the passion and dedication that you have, and just the work that you put in. And I can only imagine some of the things and the fears that may have been holding you back at one point. And I'd love to hear some of those adjustments that you had to make. So, I want to welcome you back and say thank you so much. So, Frank, tell us, what has there been a time where you were faced by a fear? How did you react? And what are some of your adjustments or remedies you recommend?
Fear? I have no fear. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I do. We all do. And it's a very good topic because I think people get confused about this. A very good topic, Anthony, on your part. But I think it's people get confused in a way that they think fear is like this monster or walking down a dark alley. Fear is that little thing that's inside you that stops you for real. Walking down the dark alley, you could, that's a big obvious thing. But that fear inside that wants to stop you from being creative, from grabbing an opportunity, from being yourself, or because maybe you were conditioned all your life to, everybody saying no, no, no. That's in our business. You have to learn to listen, but you also have to learn to trust your own instincts, like we were talking about last time. And fear is not to be confused with nervousness. Nervousness is I've been in the business, as you know, everybody here knows that for a very long time. I've been on major sets, little sets, major stars, unknown stars, new actors, new directors, whatever, producers, whatever. And I still, every day on the first day of shoot, have that nervous thing in my stomach, like, oh my God. And it's the old remedy of, how am I going to get out of this mess today? And it's like, and you have this nervousness, and it's not fear, but it is fear. It could turn into fear, where if you turn into fear and it stops you from doing your work, from getting in there. And to me, I realized how to embrace it. Embrace that nervousness. Embrace that. You're not going to jail. You're not going to die. You're not going to go, no one's suing you. Embrace it. Embrace it and say, how can I turn this into a positive thing? And what you do is you trust your craft. You trust your work. When I get to the set, I'm like, hubba, 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 and then Somebody asked me a question. Boom, I snap into that question. Before you know it, I'm working. I'm doing my stuff. I'm like shining. I'm doing what I do because I prepped it. I'm the one who prepped it. As a director and producer, I'm the one who made the foundation happen. And so I start trusting my work. Now, if I went in there cold, which I have done, but that's another different story because I was a work for hire one time, which turned out to be a beautiful experience because it was all about adjusting. And but you learn to trust it. You learn to trust that fear, turn to a positive. And I'll tell you one prime example. One of the shows when I was working with Lionsgate, I was one of the people that helped Ryan Gosling his career. And we had problems from the beginning. The studio brought me on. I was on another movie, and they said, listen, we have some people here, young, we don't think they know what they're doing. Can you come on? And so I said, yes, get me off this shoot because I didn't want to be on this other shoot. And I went to there. It's a smaller one. It was Ryan Gosling. And the studios didn't want him. They wanted this was his first film, by the way, his first major film that crossed him into the business. And they didn't want him. They wanted somebody else. And we said no. And the director said no. And I said, no, as a producer, I'm standing by my director. And I love this guy. I love Rice. He auditioned for us. And he was playing young Hercules. And he had a long hair. And the film is called The Believer. It's one of the greatest films made, and it's a cult film. And it's about a Jewish kid in modern days who joined a neo-Nazi group because he lost his faith. And that was Ryan Gosling's big break. And then we said to him, I said, we're going to call you back, but it's Skinhead. You got to, in his audition, he came back, boom, buzz cut. He had a buzz cut. He came in. We wanted him. Eventually, long story short on that, we got him. We said, the studio says, fine, you take him, but we're going to lower your budget, so-and-so. We said, fine. So anyway, everything goes great after that. Pre-production, 6 weeks, 7 weeks pre-production. We're going great. I'm flying high. I'm going like this. And the night before we're ready to shoot, it's a Friday. We're ready to shoot Monday. We had Billy Zane's in it. There was this other star in it at the time. And I'm with my unit production manager, and I'm at a bar drinking. We're celebrating. We're tipping glasses. I told my locations team, I said, well, guys, go have a good weekend because it's going to be your last weekend until we finish shooting. And they all went away. Everybody's celebrating, prep. We're all ready to go. I get a call from the studio and said, I'm not going to mention her name, but you lost your star. I said, what? I said, this is a joke, right? And they go, no, we're at nighttime, New York. That's 3 hours, still in the office. I'm going, this is a joke. And he goes, no, she decided she didn't want to play a Nazi mother. I said, after a month rehearsal, she decided she didn't want to play a Nazi mother. I said, are you kidding me? He goes, no, we lost her. And now you got to understand, when you lock in locations and you're going to shoot Monday, that means you have that house for that day. Doesn't mean you have that house for the entire shoot, unless you're using it for the whole entire shoot. So I said, do you realize what that means? We're going to lose. They go, I said, listen, man. I said, that's your responsibility. You get us another star. You go get us another star. And they go, well, you got to keep us going. I said, let me figure it out. You just dropped a bomb on me. So then everybody's away. I told my location team, go away, go whatever. And I said, I called the director, gave him the news. And I said, listen, let the studio find somebody else for us. In the meantime, let's keep you busy. Let's keep it going. We'll find somebody. Don't worry. What happens is the studio they said, give us a week. I said, fuck. And we lost every location. It's like a domino effect. So what I said, I came up with a solution. Now, this is crazy now. This is a major headache. You're going like, and this is why they brought me on, though. This is what I realized. They brought me on for this type of situation because they had an inexperienced producer who would never have handled it, And I'm not putting the person down. I'm just saying that's why they brought me in. So, and I'm going crazy too, So I said, you know what? We're going to do this. Monday, we bring on a second location team. The studio, you pay for it. We need another location team. So I have one location team on set while we're shooting, and the other location team out looking for next locations for the next day. And we went through the whole shoot like that, 6 weeks of jumping. And it's crazy. And we're going like this. And every day I kept the director. I said, Henry, you just keep shooting. You guys just keep doing your stuff. We got to work this out. And then I shot second unit as well. So I had to jump and do my stuff too, as well as a second unit director on top of producing it. And then it all worked out. We got Teresa Russell, who came in, and a week later, she knew her line. She was a dreamboat. She came in, she did it, but we still have production headaches. And when you have production headaches, it's like crazy. You don't sleep at all. And for weeks and weeks it went on. what are we shooting tomorrow? I said, you got 3 choices, Henry. Pick this location. I don't like any of them. Pick one. We got to shoot at one. You know, so it was that kind of thing, where we're going to go, who we're losing, what kind of things, who we're bringing in. Long story short, we got it done. It ended up being a winner of the the big pride of Sundance. It got nominated for an Oscar for Ryan as an actor. We won Berlin Film Festival, even though the topic was about Nazism. And it was about a Jewish guy who lost his faith. And then I went to Sundance 4 years later, and I saw Ryan, and I saw some of the cast members, and we were at a bar drinking. And of course, we're talking war stories. And I said, yeah, remember when we lost that star and we had to go through locations? They looked at me and went, what are you talking about? And I said, you know what? I'll keep that for me. I'll keep that for me. I'll keep that for me. Because production kept it away from the creative team. We kept the director working. We kept the artist working. They had no clue what was going on. And I said to myself, never mind. Have another drink. Let's have another drink. So but don't be afraid of that. You have to make those adjustments, because we had a strong foundation. And we also were experienced at what we did. I brought in a good team after that. So I'll share that, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, I think that, I appreciate that story, because, during the storm, a lot of times people will panic or act on impulse, or, they don't trust their instincts. And, just kind of hearing how you were trying to find that actor and just keeping everybody positive and keeping everybody going. You just kind of have to be solution oriented and, embrace the fear. And I love that you kind of just put that out there.
And you got to accept it. You got to accept that's your job. You're not going to jail. No one's going to kill me. You may get fired, but so what? You can, in our business, and there's an old saying in our business, in the show business, if you haven't been fired, you never worked in our business. But I tell you, every day I still go back to the beginning of the story. Every time I do a new shoot, I have the same nervous, like, oh my God, but this is a great one to overcome.
I love that, and for those that are watching on the live or on the replay, what is something that you had to kind of go through? Was there ever a storm that you had that, and how did you go through it? We definitely want to hear your stories. And if you have any questions for any of our speakers, please feel free. Again, if you're watching live, we'll get back to you. And on the replay, we'll definitely make sure we get back to you. And again, thank you so much, Frank, for bringing those insights.
Thank you.
Francesca, I want to say thank you and welcome back again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You had such an exciting day today, right? You were messaging me when coming from bookings.
Yes.
There.
I'm currently recording an audiobook, so it kind of took like the whole day, and I was just going in, and I just finished recording for a video game this past week too. So it's been great and exciting, but also scary, because it was the first time doing all this work.
Shout out to just being innovative and being brave and facing your fears. So to me, I know that when, for those that haven't watched our show, and for our last time, we were talking about instincts and kind of how are some of the challenges that you had to overcome, especially during the shift, right? I don't like using the word pandemic, the shift. And so what are some of the things that you're doing now that's kind of helping you and pushing you forward?
Yeah, well, during the pandemic, I think there was, or the shift, if you will, there was a whole a fear that radiated throughout the industry because theaters were shut down for like the first time in however many years in New York. And I have so many friends who work on Broadway, people obviously in the film industry and in the voiceover community who were just reeling and trying to figure out how to proceed and how our industry can survive during this whole state of unknown uncertainty. But one of the things which was interesting to me was also how much of the industry just plowed through and just said, we are not stopping. We're going to continue doing as much work as we can, and how much each individual made themselves available to this change and allowed the change to just simply happen and experiment and figure out what's going on. So for example, I do a lot of work in voiceover and a lot of work in animation and video games. And as soon as everything was shut down, we all kind of collectively looked at our gear and said, okay, well, we're going to continue working. So we need to take the steps in order to ensure that these projects can still continue moving forward. So for example, for me, I had to basically create like a whole home studio. I had to buy new gear. I had to learn how to run my own sessions and engineer myself. So, and with the understanding that not only myself, but the directors, the engineers, everyone in the industry was working together and learning from each other and trying to figure out how we can make the best of what was currently happening. And it's actually been amazing because we learned a lot about what we are capable of doing as an industry and what we are capable of accomplishing, even from our homes or even in this mindset of fear that everyone was having. It opened a lot of doors to a lot of new talent. Whereas for voiceover and film, but specifically voiceover, it used to be very geographically located. You are either in LA, you're either in New York, and that's it. But with this change and with this pandemic, we were able to open those doors, and a lot of people were able to get more work. And we proved to ourselves that we are capable of doing this. So the limitations that were instated prior to the pandemic have now actually kind of crashed down, which I think is great. And I hope that it continues to prosper in that way in the industry and continues to open those doors. But it just goes to show, like, with proper adaptation, with proper openness, open-mindedness, preparation, the drive and desire to continue working and to just push through the fears of what could have been a catastrophe in our industry, and especially in voiceover. We could have just shut down everything, but everyone decided to just push through and adapt and figure out how to work through. And it was kind of like my dad was saying, Frank was saying, that I think everyone has that fear, but it's kind of like that flight or fight moment, especially as actors. You're like, I'm not sure if I want to take this new job. I'm not sure if I want to take the leap. I think everyone deals with imposter syndrome at least once or multiple times throughout their lives. And for me, it's like every day. I constantly go to my dad and I'm like,
is that
I'm
me?
really
Is that really me? Did I really do that?
I'm really nervous for this audition. I'm not sure if I can do it. Like I had a recent job audition for DreamWorks, and it was huge for me. And I've always wanted to work for DreamWorks. And I was sitting around like a day or two later, kind of moping around, and I was like, I don't know if I'm good enough. I'm not sure if I can do this. I'm not sure if I have the skills. And then he was just like, just get to work.
I said, get to work.
Yeah, you got to push through. And I think that's one of the big things is you just got to push through and figure out the ways that you can find the solutions to whatever is plaguing you. I think Robert Downey Jr., I was listening to a podcast and he said, anxiety is being conscious of how much you're avoiding preparation, which I thought was really interesting because it's true. Yeah, I think I'm the most frightened when I don't know my lines or when I'm not looking at a script. I've had so many dreams literally in the past couple of days where I had dreamt that I was on stage and just completely forgot my lines or like didn't know the script. And that's like a cliche actor dream, but of fear. But I think by not preparing and not trying to do, not just pushing through, it helps create even more anxiety for the situations. So if you just plow through and prepare as much as you can. Obviously, you can't control everything. Things are going to happen, and you just have to be open-minded and adapt. And I think the universe also responds well. The universe, in my opinion, you put something out there and the universe will respond to you in certain ways. So adapt and figure out how you can just push through and live your lives as strongly as possible so that you can succeed and push through it.
You know, look, and let's face it, right? Let's call the elephant in the room. Everybody a little bit has that anxiety feeling. And I think that that's what Frank was talking about with the little butterfly feeling, that sometimes right before you go into a show or an event, you kind of feel that is like, you know, that adrenaline starts to go through your body. And that's good. You have to embrace that. You know, it just reminds you of what you're doing. And if you don't feel that feeling anymore, then, you know, maybe it burnt out or
you know, if you don't feel that feeling, it's
I mean, you don't care.
You just stop learning. You stop learning. And that's very important. You can never stop learning, you know, so.
100%. You know, and I can only imagine for those that are watching right now, have you ever doubted your skills? You know, was there something that you've been wanting to do, but just like, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not fast enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. You fill in the blank, you know, and I really appreciate how you were talking to us about in an industry that is so important, right? You don't realize how much voiceover is really involved, and I
Right.
think that in that industry, imagine if your industry is about to be shut down, what are you going to do? And just listening to you and the group that you're in is just like you're persevering, you're pushing through, and I think that's awesome. So good job, and
Thanks.
keep on going, keep on pushing.
Yeah, thank you. And also just like in terms of the arts are everywhere. Like how many times have you watched a TV show on Netflix during this whole pandemic or shift? So understanding how important that is too. But yeah, you just got to push through um, and figure out the ways that you can accomplish that for yourself and deal with it.
Yeah, you know, those are coping methods, really. How are you going to deal with it, right? And I think that Jim is going to talk to us a little bit about some ways on how we can cope with it and deal with it and push through, right? So, Francesca, I appreciate you coming on and
Thank
sharing
you.
that with us. Those were some real remedies, and I'm sure this is not going to be the last we hear from you. So,
I'm sure. Thank you.
Jim, anchoring us in for tonight. I,
Yes.
you know, we were talking today, and you know, we were really trying to figure out ways where you and I can, you know, continue to work and collaborate. And, you know, I really appreciate that call earlier.
Hmm.
I think that, you know, those are the type of conversations that people need to have had so that they can, like Frank was saying, have a strong foundation. Who are
Absolutely.
those partners? Who are those friends? Who are those people that are going to be around you that will uplift you or bring you up when you need it, or just know when you're feeling down? So I hope that we're all becoming close accountability partners, and I really appreciate you all coming on. But Jim,
Yes.
uh, what is something that you felt was so important that you wanted to share with us tonight in regards to facing your fears and making the adjustments?
Well, thank you for having me. You know, this is, I've been acting for a very long time. Uh, and when I first started out, within 3 years, I actually was part of a community theater production. We went to a competition, and we were doing Equus. I was the lead role, the lead male role. Um, and we got really, really good feedback. I was nominated for Best Actor of the festival. I had my 3 years experience. I lost out to a guy with 30 years experience. He did A View from the Bridge. It's a great, iconic play. I wasn't surprised that he won. A little disappointed that I didn't, but I wasn't surprised. Um, but to me, I really embraced the idea that I knew what I was doing. Of course, you always get nervous. Of course, you're always, I live for that. But I almost felt like I arrived, which is always a red flag warning sign wherever. The very next play I did, because we were doing dinner theater all the time, I did one of the lead roles in Come Blow Your Horn, opposite another guy. And we had a scene in which we were talking, and it was quite a few pages of dialogue. And I had done my work and I had done my memorization, and I wasn't quite as focused as I needed to be. And so I went up on my lines. I forgot where I was. I jumped ahead, and there's many things going on in your head. Uh, the one thing I heard, because it was dinner theater and the backstage was so close, I heard the stage manager flipping pages.
Oh no.
And it wasn't the guy giving me the look. He had a unique way of raising an eyebrow. And he gave me a raised eyebrow, like, all right. And then I heard that,
Oh no.
oh, stay with me, let's go. And so, hey, it was on me. The pressure is on me. And to me, I love that story. I like to teach about that when I do my acting coaching and all that, because it's really a defining moment of whether you step up and do what you say you're going to do, or you crumble under the pressure. And I like to say, panic never solves that. So what do? What did I do? I went home. Okay. So the three things that I really worked on, first of all, none of the cast would talk to me. The director grabbed me, yelled at me because that was his way. He didn't have to. I was sick of it. I went home, grabbed my script. Now, I had been going over my script, but now I'm a little more focused on what did I do? Where are my cues? What do I got to pay attention to? And then the other thing is the very next night, and I do this again tomorrow. So again, I'm picking up my script before I go on, making sure I don't miss nothing. The next thing is while I'm on stage, I'm not letting anything distract me. My focus is 100% where it needs to be, where it always should be. And then, of course, prior to going on stage, you really need to relax in the moment, because you can get yourself so wound up. You're going, it'll never happen again. It'll never happen again. And of course, that's all you're thinking about. It's bound to happen again. So it's really relaxing in the moment and really embracing. And again, this goes a lot back to what Frank says so beautifully in that story is, you can have anything happen. As long as you lay the right foundation, you're covered. And that's why I like to say panic never solves anything, because as a foundation builder, you're building that foundation, you're set it where you go. Listen, you can roll with anything. And once you know that about yourself, you're good. You're good. You can relax. You can breathe into it. You can just calm down and let it work for you. So I like to teach that. I always say, I have people tell me, oh, I'm a natural. I can act. I don't need any training. And you know what? I don't believe in that. You can be very talented, and there are amazingly talented people in this world. But we all have to work. We all have to do the foundation work. We all have to do what's needed. And there's no getting around that, and nor should there be. Because truly, to bring out the best in you, you have to work. And the biggest thing is, like Frank said, you have to work as a team. Whether people know you're doing it in the foreground or in the background, or if you work as a team, everything is seamless. And so that's a great way of making sure you do your work, so nobody else has to do your work for you.
Yeah.
Right. And I love that. Practice, focus, relax. And I think that those three in that exact same order can conquer anything. Sure. Practice, focus, and relax. And those, were some real remedies. And I love how you said it. Panic really never solves anything. And I think that when, the times come that it's just the worst, it's like you either give up or you just kind of just doing things and tiptoeing and make an accident. So practice, trust yourself, focus, and relax. I love that.
Because when you're panicking, you're focused on what's going wrong, not about how to fix it.
Right.
It's sometimes when you're panicking, you don't know you're panicking.
Right.
And that's the whole, especially for actors, because they're the ones who have the courage to get up there, and they're the ones who have, like a basketball player, they're the ones on the court. You keep missing your layup, that coach is going to take you out and put somebody else in. However, in a play, it's like actors, sometimes you panic. I've seen actors panic and they don't know that they panic. They don't know. And now I'll tell you, if you don't mind, Jim, I'll jump on that. It's like one time I was doing this, when I was starting out, I got a chance to do an off-Broadway play, and it was a big thing for me. It was like, okay, coming from it's my first off-Broadway. It starred, we were all young. It starred Dayton Cali, who's the star now. It's done Sons of Anarchy, Deadwood. We were all come up together, and we did this play and the same thing happened. What happened, we rehearsed. We opened up, got great reviews from the New York Times, and we're all like, oh my God, we're going to move. This is going to keep running. The next show, the actor out playing opposite Dayton in the second scene of the first act. Now it's a 2-act play. Jumped to the end, and he had to leave. He had to exit. So he jumped to the end. He stood there, and he exited. And he left Dayton there. And Dayton's going like trying to get it back to the beginning, but he's gone. So he did a monologue from a view from the bridge. I'm like, and now I'm a young director. My mentor producer, who's much older, I'm going like, you know, I'm in the back row, so there's a lot of people looking at me. They had no clue what's going on. And Dane's doing a monologue from a view from the bridge. and then my producer, my mentor, my heart, actually put his hand on my knee and he says, you know, now is the time to think I should teach you that when you listen to other people, they may be right. I went, what? What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then he came back in and he picked it back up. And because the stage manager pushed him back in.
Yeah.
The audience had no clue. The audience had no clue. And then when we got to the ending, I was looking for the faces of the people in the audience going like, wait a minute, did we do this before? Not one face said, oh, we've been here before. You know, so it's talk about panic. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God. So how did you keep it together? What would you say was like the one?
It went on. Then what can you do? It's like Jim said. It's like, what can you do? I didn't go yell at the guy. We actually were drinking the next night because it was a party, and we were just like laughing. And I'm going like, Dayton, where's that monologue? I heard that monologue. He goes, a view from the bridge. I went, oh my God. I said, that's where it's from. And we were, but here, your life is on the line. You think your life is on the line. Don't forget, we're much younger. I would still react the same way. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And you know, I would still act the same way. But it was like you just move on. You live to tell this story 30 years later.
Yeah. And you know, like relevant to last time we were talking about taking your shot. You know, even if you're still panicking, you know, you got to just take your shot, stay focused. You know, and Francesca, you know, with you know that form of you know, like anxiety, right? Mm-hmm. And that mindset of you know, I don't know if I can, and I think it's just too hard, and you start to make every excuse in the book. How do you still take your shot?
Well, I think that is, for me specifically, that kind of like I keep calling it imposter syndrome that comes in where you're doubting yourself. For me, that's like a fear of success in some ways. I'm afraid of what will happen if I get this and succeed, which is really, if you think about it, kind of strange, because I'm afraid of the unknown and afraid of perhaps getting my chance at what I really want to do. And what does that mean to me? But I always find that whenever I do feel that, once I start working and pushing through, I'm usually like, I can work out the fears and work out what's not happening correctly, creatively. What am I afraid of? And also, how can I make this performance specifically better? And because, like we were talking about last time, I am also afraid of years from now thinking back and thinking, oh, I should have auditioned for that DreamWorks project, or like I should have auditioned for these. So for me, the fear of of looking back and that what if and the doubts over there outweighs the fear of success that I have. And then
I love that.
Which one is more important to me? It's the fear of what if I look back and I have those doubts like I did when I missed my chance with this magician named Joseph Gabriel, who I still think about every day. Like,
I don't know if you want to go there again.
Yeah, let's not, because I'll just go into a fear of that. So yeah, outweighing that, and I think the fear of the unknown is really what it comes down to. Even if it's like a fear of flying, a fear of loss of control, because you can't control everything. So you might as well just put it out there and see what happens and take the risk and dare to fail, as we say.
Dare to fail. Jim, what is something that resonates with you, you know, after Francesca talks about dare to fail? And what does that bring? How does that make you feel?
Well, it's two things. One, you know, I've been in audition I've been at auditions with casting directors, and there's one casting director in New York. If you actually audition in front of him, and I have, he's the owner of the company, and he yells at you. I audition and he goes, "Come on, you can do better than that. What are you doing?" And again, for me personally, I've gotten to the place where I laugh. I'm like, all right, you're right. And I bear down and do better because I know I've done it before. And this is the amazing thing about facing your fear, is that once you do it a couple of times, you have that in your back pocket. And now you know, yeah, I'm still afraid. Oh my God, someone yelled at me. Oh my God, I want this flight or fight mode. Once you know you can do it, you just double down and kind of get into it. And like I said, it's amazing because whenever I get put in those situations, I just laugh. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. All right. I got it. And mm-hmm. The funny thing is it was a voiceover audition I did for this guy, and he yelled at me and was like, "Come on, do better." And I'm like, "All right." And I did it. And then he looked at me and goes, "Now that's what I was talking about." And I'm like, right. Fumbled, cried, ran out of the room. But that's not going to get you what you want. And so you bear down and you just, fight for it. Mm-hmm. And once you know you can do it, that's everything, because now you just keep doing it.
And you bring up a good point. I think that a lot of times, if people, there's certain type of personalities, right? And certain type of coaching. And sometimes you got to be coachable. And sometimes not all the coaches are good coaches. And although they have the best intentions, they might try to get the point across a different way. But hey, it kind of pushes you to kind of push through that comfort zone, right? No. So we're coming on that time of the night, guys.
Oh man, already?
Our final These are our final remedies. And so tonight we've been talking about continuing the theme from January on taking the challenge. In February, it's all about taking action, facing your fears, and making those adjustments. And I really want to thank those that are watching, and I want to thank our speakers tonight. So in speaker rotation, leading up with Frank, what are some of your final remedies for tonight?
I think I always say that, I joke around when my mentor turned around, he put his hand on my knee and say, "Listen," because the other person may be right. I kind of, although it was an awkward situation, it was funny and we laugh about it, but I kind of use that. And I think you have to understand, you have a team. You must trust that team. You have a collaboration. I would be nothing without the actors like Jim or Francesca or Dayton or anybody. They will be nothing without directors. And we all are a team. What I don't like is when I hate young directors who think they know it all. No, you don't. You don't. Trust me, you don't. You think you do, but you don't. You may know the story, but you still need somebody to help execute that story. Those are remedies. You got to trust. You got to listen to the other person, because that other person may be right. That other person may have a better idea of how to execute your vision that you want as a director, that you want to come across. It's about execution. You're not alone in our business. If you're alone, you're a painter. If you're alone, you may be a novelist. Okay, yes. Okay, but you have people read it. You have people look at the art and say, "What do you think?" "Oh, I don't know what that means. A stroke going across and a white, what does that mean?" But however, in our business, we have a team. Francesca said she's all alone in her studio. No, she's not. She has a director listening. She has a casting director listen to the audition. It's that kind of a thing where we have each other. And my remedy is, I learned the hard way. I learned this the hard way, is trust the team you put around you. Now, if a team is forced on you and there's negativity in there, then you must make that adjustment. You must make that remedy and say, "I am the director." Everybody loves to see the director fail. Everybody loves to see the director not knowing what they want. Everybody knows more than the director. Never, ever tell them that. Never, ever show them that. Just because you ask someone for their idea, that is not a sign of weakness. One time we're doing a play together, and Jim had a great idea. And I said, "Yeah. That's what actors do. They lift it up, from our heads, even though you may write it or you're directing someone else's pieces." So my remedy is to trust the people you hire around you, because trust me, they're the ones that are going to have the hand pulling you out of the trenches. The ones who are negative are going to stand on their trenches and watch you lay down there and laugh. And trust me, you want the people around you who are going to help you and pull you out. And that's trusting your team. You put the team together. That is your responsibility. If it doesn't work out, the first thing I say to people is, This is my vision. We must execute this vision. As if someone says, no, I think it should be this way, then that's not your team. Trust that instinct, and then go with somebody else who does and say, yes, I feel that. Same thing. It's same when you're casting. When I'm casting, it's got to be the people who are going to trust that script, trust that role, because they're going to lift it up to a whole different level, man. And so I think that's a good point, is to listen to others because they may be right.
What stood out was humble yourself, listen, and lift each other up. And those are some of the adjustments that we're recommending you tonight on how to face your fears. Humble yourself. I love that. Thank you so much, Frank.
Thank you.
For anybody that's watching, we want to make sure that we give you a chance to engage with us. So feel free. Right now is the time if you have any questions. If you're watching on the replay, we'll make sure that we get back to you. Leading on to our final thoughts, Francesca, thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you.
On the topic of facing your fears, making the adjustments, what are your final thoughts?
I think you kind of summed it up just now by saying humble yourself. Because I think when you enter into a state of anxiety, you are completely heightened. You're not thinking. You're really afraid of everything that's going. Your heart races, and it's hard to make decisions and stuff. So humbling yourself and breathing and understanding and accepting that fear is okay, something that you're going through. And trust yourself in addition to trusting, as my dad Frank said, trust yourself in addition to your team, that you can figure out ways to go through it, and try. And because anxiety, as we talked about, is in its own way a learning a curve. It's something that you're anxious because it's something new and you're uncertain about it and you're not quite sure how to face it. So going through it and taking the time to really work through it and figure out how you can push through it in your own way, I think will help even in the future as well, whenever you're faced with more problems, whether it's something related to that issue you're facing now or whatever. Because if, as Robert Downey Jr. said, if anxiety is being conscious of how much you're avoiding preparation, then I think also by going through it, you are preparing yourself for the future as well. So breathe, understand it, accept it, and keep moving and figure out ways that you can push yourself forward and grow from it as well.
Right. I think, what Robert Downey Jr. was alluding to was procrastination. And I think that sometimes as far as being prepared, people don't take action and we procrastinate. And I think that's definitely, a part of mental health. We will naturally procrastinate and create what's really not there. And so if you're anxious, it means you're alive. And I trust yourself. And thank you so much, Francesca, for bringing those points up. And closing the show tonight, last but not least, Jim, as we're wrapping up, facing your fears, making the adjustments, what are your final thoughts?
Thank you for having me, and thank you for watching. Francesca stole my thunder a little bit. Really, like Frank said, you have to have a good team around you. You have to believe in the team. And it's just as important as doing your own work and trusting in yourself. Having that humble confidence that you've done your work, that it can propel you to be prepared for any obstacle that's in your way. And truly, in the face of any obstacle, that is it's cliche to say it, but obstacles are opportunities, and we call them happy accidents if you're on set or on the stage. And those are amazing if you're open enough and present enough to embrace them. And those are one of those things, and there's hundreds of stories where that just enhances whatever you're doing. And it really gives you the opportunity to keep you in focus. Now you're present because, I didn't expect that. And yet I'm prepared to do whatever comes about because I've done my work. So, the big thing is if people are having problems with, proceeding, or they're overly fearful, or they don't know how to go forward, it falls back into do your work. Be prepared, do your work. If you don't know where to begin somewhere, and then doors will open. The more preparation you have, that's how you move forward.
Those are some real stuff right there. Learn from failure. Happy accidents. Don't procrastinate. Those were some real remedies tonight. And if you didn't learn something, you might need to watch this video one more time.
I may have to watch it.
We were talking about some real gems. And as we're going into the quote of the show, and let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. And this is found in Galatians chapter 6, verse 9. Go in grace, go in peace. Thank you so much for watching. This is Anthony Rosa, Mr. Remedy, on the Roundtable Remedies. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.